The San Francisco 49ers are coming off of a major victory following their bye week. They've extended some players, they've signed some players, they've cut some players, but where does that leave the team going forward? Matt and I are here to discuss all of that and more on tonight's episode of Nothing But Niners. Matt, you ready?
Mike, you know I am. Let's hit it.
Let's get it, baby. Here we go.
This is Charles Haley. You're listening to Nothing But Niners.
This is Kyle Juszczyk, and you're listening to Nothing But Niners.
So now they've got to start from deep in their end of the field, and Garrison Hurst takes advantage of it. He takes the handoff, hits to his right, gets to the 20. He's in the 30, needs to cut in. He comes back up the right sideline, breaks the third tackle, comes down to the 30. He's down to the 20. He's down to the 10. He's down to the 5. He's into the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown! 49ers! 96-yard run from scrimmage. Garrison Hurst breaking tackle after tackle. Swings down the sideline, throws off bodies like clothes after a marathon.
Young, back to throw. In trouble, he's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again, to the 35, cuts back at the 30, to the 20, the 50, the 10. He dives, touchdown 49ers.
Third down, Alex takes the snap. Alex looking down in post, and it's good! Touchdown! Touchdown 49ers!
It is second down. Ryan takes the snap, throws the slant to the left side. It's Russell, intercepted! The 49ers pick it, and Navarro Bowman is redemption! Navarro Bowman running it all the way for the touchdown! No greater redemption!
The San Francisco 49ers, we can do whatever we want.
Click, click, boom! What is going on, faithfuls? It's your boys Mike and Matt, and we are here to bring you guys another fun-filled episode here of the Nothing But Niners show. I want to shout out to everybody who has been waiting for one of these nighttime episodes. Man, you guys are the real G's out there, and you guys deserve a round of applause. So shout out to everybody out there who have been patiently awaiting this moment right here, all right? We're going to run through some of these formalities really quick, and then when we are done, we're going to get right down to the action. All right? If this is your first time here on this YouTube channel, we hope you guys enjoy the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you know exactly when we are going live. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. All right? If you don't enjoy it, I don't know what else to tell you. Actually, you can still hit the like and subscribe button if you don't enjoy it. Just leave negative comments in the chat. We appreciate all of those comments, okay? Give us a follow on some of our social media platforms. We have Snapchat and Twitter. Those handles are Nothing But 9ERS. Again, that is nothing but the number 9ERS. We have been dying to go live on Twitter or X, but they just refuse to let us do it here on StreamYard. I don't know what it is. I've bought this check mark 4 times now. I'm over $1,000 into this, and I still can't go live. Matt, what is happening? Like, why won't they let me?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. I've always tried to convince everybody that they should do their own thing on OBS and like learn that, and it's free and you can stream as much as you want because you'll use other programs like Discord and stuff like that. You can use there's different streaming services, but I think maybe it's because of I don't know. Honestly,
Is it because I'm buying like the X like premium on an Android device? Like, do I have to be on an Apple device? Do I have to be on like the web?
I don't know. That sounds fishy. To me. I feel like it should carry over for your account no matter what, and you should, I don't know, man. Get Elon Musk on speed dial and tell him to fix it.
Well, I'll work on that between now and the next show. We also have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. Those handles are Nothing But Niners. That's spelled all the way out. No numbers in there anywhere at all. Okay, so please make sure you guys go out there and show us some support. Our handles should be popping up on the screen there. Where are they? Bong. There they are. I am Mike Andrews 83. You guys see it right there. And to my right on the screen is my man, Mr. Matt BS and that means bullshit not allowed. I'm kidding. Matt, what's going on with you, man? How are you feeling tonight, man? The Niners are making some moves, and they're giving us a lot to talk about here. How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I was having a good day, and then news of the Lenoir extension dropped, and now I'm having a great day because out of all the people that we really needed to re-sign on the defense that are coming up, it was a choice, right? Do we keep Travarius Ward or do we go with Deommodore Lenoir? And I was always team Lenoir. I know that Travarius Ward going through a tough personal time. That's not to take away from any of that. This is strictly about football on the field and what each brings. And I think that Lenoir brings an energy that's just unmatched in that cornerback room. From a play standpoint, from a swagger standpoint, he's a throwback to what DBs used to be like with just just oozing confidence when he goes out there. And he backs it up. So I'm very excited to see this going forward. And, it's about time the 49ers do something early, because if you look at the contract, I think it's 18.5 per, and it was only going to get more expensive if they waited. So they locked up a guy early, and that allows them some flexibility going forward and not have to do the same thing that they did with Brandon Ayuk, where they could have got him at 25, 26 or whatever, and end up taking him at 30. They lock their man up early, and then they don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, man, this was a really, really good extension for the 49ers, man. And shout out to Deommodore Lenoir. Let's go ahead and give him some horns really quick. A 5-year deal worth up to $92 million, an average of 18.4, like Matt said, for the young 25-year-old corner. Matt, now this is interesting to me because the Niners were rumored to have tried to extend him earlier, which implies that it would have been cheaper to extend him, right? Like if they did it earlier, it wouldn't have cost them quite this much. But if you look at it on a per year basis, like just average like salary per year, he only comes in at the 12th highest paid cornerback in the NFL. What possible number were the Niners considering then? Like, do you think that they would have crossed the $15 million a year mark if it happened earlier? Like, because waiting later implies that he won, he bet on himself, he played really, really well. Like, obviously he deserves this contract from what we've seen the last 2 seasons. So I'm assuming that his price went up. Where was he going to fall on the charts had he taken the deal that they were going to potentially offer him earlier? And again, we're just speculating, guys, so don't...
Absolutely, that's a good question. I don't have the numbers on me. Do we have cornerbacks?
Yeah, I can pull it up. Yep, absolutely. Let me change the background here, and I will do a screen share, just so we can see exactly how it would have been. Because it's just so interesting to me. What is StreamYard doing right now?
StreamYard doing StreamYard things.
Nope, that's not what I did. That's not what is happening here. Okay, they are really, really pissing me off right now. All right, let's do our AA0. Let's get our colors back the way they're supposed to be. But it's not giving me the... This is so strange. Like, I can't get to my layouts.
Weird.
Have you done this recently?
Not in a while.
You click brand and all your videos and all that stuff.
So
you could change the background and all that. Nothing's here right now.
Interesting.
All right. So while I fight with this, and I do apologize, this is terrible, and I'm gonna write a scathing. All right, here we go. I think I found it. All right, let's get rid of this. There we go, and then we can do a screen share. All right. I don't know how I was able to get that off, but it's cool. We're going to share that. We'll take off the audio tab so there's no echoing and feedback. All right. And then boom, we'll pop it up here. I will zoom in on this so you guys can see a little bit better. All right. So what you have here is where these corners rank. So right here, this is by year now. Okay. This is just by year. This is not like average overall or value. This is just by year. So number 1 is Jalen Ramsey at 24.1. Number 2, Patrick Surtain at 24, and it goes all the way down to number 12, which is at the bottom of the screen, Deommodore Lenoir for 18.4. And I'm just curious, like if they had have signed this guy earlier, where the hell would he have fallen on this chart, Matt?
Yeah, we'll keep going down. That's what I'm curious about. Like we're getting into, I mean,
because it goes from him to less than 15. That's why I threw the 15 number out there. Like, do you think that's maybe where it was?
Yeah, 14, 15 is probably what they were at. But this could have been something where, a very comparable corner, both in age and ability, is Jalen Johnson, who signed with the Bears last year, and he got 19. Maybe he signs that contract, and Lenoir looks at it like, well, I'm not going to sign right now. I'm going to wait and see. But there's a lot of things at play, like who's coming up in the cornerback market coming up. What is, what is the salary cap going to look like? What does the team look like? Because it looks like that Deommodore Lenoir and Renardo Green are probably going to be the top two corners for the 49ers going into next year. Travarius Ward probably on his way out.
Yeah. And there he is right there at 15, by the way. Not much ahead.
No, and his contract's going to be expired, and he may look for greener pastures somewhere else. You'd hope the 49ers, if they did decide they wanted to keep him around, he's only 26, that they could. But they have other fish to fry. So
now what's interesting about this is the ages of these two guys. And I feel like Mooney has been in the league for so much longer. This is his second contract. Like he had the undrafted contract, and he got the extension and all that stuff, and he's here in San Francisco. He's 26 years old on his third contract in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. So he's doing well for himself. Let's be clear. No, you know what? I'm sorry. This is his second contract. The Niners signed him as a free agent in 2022.
Yeah.
So he's still
he's in the league in 2018 and got through his first 4, and then signed the contract with the 49ers, which I believe was a 3-year extension. There. Yeah.
3 years right there.
So that puts him at 7. So he's played a couple more years, and he came into the league at 22. Looks like Ward would have come in at, Lenoir came in at 21. Because he's on a, and so let's be real too. This is a little bit misleading. Yeah. Because it says the contract start is 2024, but he's technically on the last year of his deal right now. So because it's not a free agent contract and it's an extension, the new money technically doesn't hit until next year. So if you can actually even knock one of those years off, it's not necessarily a 5-year deal. The new deal is 4 years for 92, which, let me do a little quick math here, would be... Well, actually 23 per year in new money after this season,
which would have put him at third overall,
above Jair Alexander.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's a little bit different.
I am so happy for my guy Deommodore Lenoir, man. Let me go ahead and give a round of applause here. Just a short one here, man. Oh man, I am so happy for this guy, man. He came in here, he busted his ass, he grinded all the way through. And again, he bet on himself at the start of the year. And that's so risky. That's so risky, right? It's like, what made him like say, okay, now's the time? Why not finish it out? Is he worried that the Niners don't make the postseason? Like what was the agent thinking in signing now in the middle, like dead center of the year? Like what made him sign right now? I wish I could like get in the mind of these guys.
And it's really hard to know for sure without seeing what the actual terms of the contract are.
Right. Yeah. Now, because it's an extension, that means that whatever was left on his contract this year was probably converted. And so it probably opened up some space for the 49ers also. But until those details come out, we won't know what the final cap ramifications are for this year and next year. And guys got to remember that they're looking to extend Brock Purdy next year. So I know that they're trying to clear up some space. I'm sure that they did something phenomenal here. If I click Lenoir's name, let's see if it gives us any type of break, and it doesn't. It says the cap hit is $3 million, and I don't know if that's see the signing bonus isn't there, guaranteed, nothing is there right now. It just says that he's a free agent in 2030. So
And
we don't have
I'm
any
not
details
sure
yet.
that anything is going to happen with this year's. All the new money is going to hit like next year, minus I guess maybe a signing bonus.
Yeah.
That would be due at signing, but like his cap is his cap for this year. He's not going to count against the cap anymore.
I would love for his signing bonus to be massive. Spread it out over 5 years. Like if they could make his signing bonus like $40 million over 5 years,
Yeah.
that means that there's only another $50 million to break down, which is $10 million a year for the 5. Like that would be really good for the Niners, and as far as locking up their number one corner. I think that they have made it clear who they have all the faith in. This guy is a guy that plays inside and outside and does both extremely well. So we will have to see. Again, shout out to Deommodore Lenoir. All right, Matt, was there anything else that you wanted to see or discuss on that?
No, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who they go after next. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree, man. Again, kudos to Lenoir. I'm very, very happy for him. Let's get that ticker off the screen, and let's see if I can find a way to get back to our regular window. Boom, there it is. Okay. All right. I'm starting to get the hang of this thing here, man. Guys, I'm a little rusty here. Some other 49ers news, some roster news. Let me see where I do have one of those there. Boom, latest rumors and updates for the 49ers. They did do something else today. They signed Patrick Taylor Jr., running back to the practice squad. And in order to make room for him, they released the other running back, Keyshawn Vaughn. Matt, I know that when we had to officially release him to make room for, I believe it was Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
A lot of fans were saying, man, I really like PTJ. Like, hopefully he gets another look here and all that stuff. How do you feel about this? Is this just one of those moves that we're never going to discuss again because he's never going to get on the field? Like, how do you feel about this?
Oh, he's going to be a special teamer. He's going to do like kicks and kick coverage and stuff like that. But as a running back, yeah, I think his opportunities are going to be. I mean, listen, Mason went into last week as the 4th leading rusher in the NFL and got 3 snaps.
How'd you feel about that? All right, so let's go ahead and just discuss it. Like,
Yeah.
let's talk about the running back rotation. Let's talk about how they all played and everything. Because the truth of the matter is, they didn't really spread the ball around in the running backs room last week, or I guess this week. I don't know how you guys want to break it down, but they didn't really do too much as far as spreading the ball around. What were your thoughts on the total carries and all that? Would you have changed anything with what you saw?
I mean, I don't know why anybody expected anything different. You know, again, they said in interviews, weekly interview or whatever, the pregame interviews, that Shanahan had told them that Christian McCaffrey, if he's ready to go, he's going to get his regular workload. You know, he's going to, and again, we saw on certain plays, based off of film later on, why Christian McCaffrey gets all the snaps. And it's not just for his running ability. It's for his catching ability, particularly on that hot route that he ran that Brock Purdy lofted that beautiful ball off the back foot and, you know, dropped it in a bucket to him. He had a couple of plays where it looked like he was going out of bounds. I don't know if you saw it. He was near the sideline, looked like he was going to go out of bounds, and then he like toe tapped and was able to get an extra 7 or 8 yards after the play. But it's also blocking. He understands his assignment. There's a video going around of Trent Williams absolutely losing his shit because Isaiah Guerrero, instead of actually blocking, checked and released Isaac Guerrero. I don't know why I keep saying Isaiah.
It sounded good. It flowed better,
I know.
But
I know. Isaac Guerrero, pardon me, apologies. But where he checked and released instead of staying in the block, and that got Brock Purdy sacked, and you just see like Trent Williams lose it and immediately essentially call for Christian McCaffrey to come back into the game.
yeah,
So it's I think it's multifaceted, but again, everybody's been talking about, you know, during the losses and with some of the red zone struggles and this and this and that, and people are just like, well, if the 49ers had Christian McCaffrey, and it's like, well, now they do, and you're like, no, don't play him as much. It's like, what did you expect to happen when he came back, man? Like, he's gonna play.
the 49ers running backs, this is excluding Purdy and excluding Debo, only accounted for 15 rushing attempts in this game for a measly 44 yards. Guerrero had 1 carry for no gain. Mason had 1 carry for 5, and McCaffrey had 13 for 39, only 3 yards in average. Like, I mean, this is not our typical 49ers brand of football. I don't know what kind of rotation we wanted to see. Was running just not in the game plan? Did they want it to be a passing game? Because Purdy did throw the ball 30. Well, he dropped back 36 times.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily the game plan. I think that they have a lot of issues in terms of the blocking scheme.
Okay.
Going on, and it's not like the Bucs are a super terrific running defense. They're not. They're one of the worst. But the 49ers, for whatever reason, just haven't been able to just really run the ball in the last couple of weeks. And they were great at it the first few weeks. I think when they got to Kansas City, it's where it started, because I have to look at it, but I don't feel like they were attacking the Dallas Cowboys with a lot of the run either.
I can pull that up while you're talking.
Let me see. I don't want to speak incorrectly.
And the Cowboys
so it was a whole lot of Brock Purdy, it looks like, and then 2 big runs, one from Isaac Guerrero and one from Ricky Pearsall. But in that game, and I know he was injured, but Jordan Mason, 6 carries for 18 yards. Debo, 4 carries for 15 yards. Pearsall had the 39-yarder. Brock Purdy scrambled 8 times for 56. And then Guerrero had 14 carries for 85. But remember, one of those was like a 45-yard run that he ended up taking a slide on. So if you take that one away, it wasn't good either. So
are we not a good run blocking team anymore? Like, what is going on with the 49ers and their identity right now? I mean, Brock Purdy is one of the top guys as far as yards passing in the NFL, and he's great at scrambling. We see those numbers bearing fruit, right? I mean, he's averaging something like 4 yards a carry on the season or something like that. I don't have the numbers for Brock in front of me right now, but we're doing really, really good. Have the Niners transitioned to a pass-first team now?
I mean, this year I think so. And that could be a big part of it too. Some of the things that I don't like that Shanahan is doing this year that I didn't see a whole lot of out of years past is he's running a lot out of shotgun, which I think is bad. And then they're not using play action the same way that
that's because a lot of the passes are even coming out of shotgun.
Right.
So it's hard to do the play action where you can, fake the handoff and turn your back to the offensive
right, because
line.
they don't feel like the pass pro is there.
Yeah.
I think I would look for Feliciano's return and see if that changes some things. But I would to. You wonder if Banks maybe gets a little bit better. You wonder if Feliciano. I mean, he has to be a step up on Brendel, who's just been really bad. So, I see Taco Chicken in this thing in the chat saying, why would you take away yards? It's not that I'm taking away yards. I'm saying outside of 2 big runs, the 49ers could not run. And there's usually 1 or 2 busted runs in every single game. What I'm saying is it's consistency is what you want to see. Like the big runs, that's great. But the rest of it wasn't good.
I kind of, to Taco's point, I think what he's trying to say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. Feel free to respond, Taco. I feel like it's death by 1,000 cuts with the Niners run game. 3 yards here, 2 yards there, 1 yard there. Boom, here's a 25-yarder. 1 yard here, 5 yards there. Boom, here's a 30-yarder type of thing. I think that's kind of par of the course for the 49ers. Even when Christian McCaffrey has some of his best games, it's usually involving 1 or 2 really big runs, but he's usually getting like 20 touches. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, but then you go back to like the Seahawks game where, they ran Guerrero and Mason ran the ball 19 times, but racked up 172 yards on those 19 carries.
True.
So that's different. You know what I mean? When we're talking about the average run for your big hosses, your big runners is like, 3.2 yards a carry. Like that's not good enough. That's not good enough. Yeah. And I feel like that started with Kansas City. Like Mason had 14 carries for 58 yards against Kansas City, and that's not going to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nathaniel has a very interesting comment here while we're talking about the run game. He says, I just want to say, please, Kyle, stop using Debo as a running back. You have running backs now, 3 good ones now. Give some of the carries to Debo, from Debo to Mason or Isaac, please. What are your thoughts on this? Because I think that we've been pretty pleased overall when we see the running backs used regularly or consistently, right? But in this game, the one carry that I remember Isaac getting, as soon as I saw him back there, like, this is going to be an obvious run to Isaac. They're not going to ask him to stay in pass protection. And the one time they did have him in pass protection, we
got sacked.
You talked about the results
the red
on
zone.
it, So it was kind of like it's kind of now that McCaffrey's back in there, it's kind of telegraphing what the play is going to be. How do you feel about this comment? Because without Debo's contributions from last week, which, by the way, it wasn't much. It was 3 carries for Debo and only 14 yards. But how do you feel about that, taking the ball out of Debo's hands in the backfield?
I mean, it's obviously hasn't been effective, but I think that even just showing that to a defense keeps them a little more honest than if you just try. If you take away Debo's 3 wide back plays or whatever, then he just becomes a very mediocre route running receiver who relies on getting in open space and zone. That he's not going to beat anybody off the ball. He's not going to beat anybody on these man coverages. We've seen it time and time again. He struggles to separate against man coverage. That's just a fact. If he gets a free release on maybe a quick slant, he can get the ball, and then he's really good at working in space. But it all comes down to his route running ability, which is subpar. Well, he is a mediocre route runner, and when he's not getting the ball, he doesn't run routes hard.
And with CMC back, it should open things up in the middle of the field where Debo's most dangerous, right? So,
we saw that on the Pearsall touchdown.
Right. I was going to say, it becomes less about these guys' ability to separate, because not for nothing, while Pearsall can get some separation, it's not what we're used to seeing for Niners wide receivers.
Skip that, dude. Pearsall cooks, dude. Pearsall cooks.
You're buying it. You're buying it, huh?
You're tripping.
Oh, they got you. They got you hook, line, and sinker, man.
Nah, Pearsall cooks, man. That dude separates.
Yeah,
certainly and Jedi separates more than Debo. He might not be he's a good route runner. That's the other thing too. He might not get off of the ball, if he's on a press or whatever. But what he does is he breaks down on his cuts on his routes well enough that he's able to separate on that breakdown.
It's the plant foot direction. Yeah, it's the
very crisp with how he runs routes. And in the NFL, again, a half a yard of separation is wide open. 1 yard of separation is wide ass open. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it is.
Okay.
So we saw what 1 yard of separation did for Kittle in the back of the end zone.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That little lean off right at the end.
That little lean off. That was 3 feet
corner
of space. That's 1 yard of separation. And that was the difference between a touchdown pass and a broken up play.
Yeah. So then it seems like the Niners, and this is when I start to shoot Kyle Shanahan some bail, where people are saying, oh, he's running the same type of offense over and over. Clearly, he's not. This has been a run-first team, and then depending on the reliant on the play action, where we're just not seeing that anymore. And this is what I've been saying all season. This old dog is learning new tricks. Now, whether it's successful or not, here we are at 5-4. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not what we want to see, but Kyle is adjusting. He's changing the way that he's running some of these plays.
And a part of me, we talked about on the 49ers Hive show where you were like, the 49ers are 10th in the NFC or something like that right now. Are they better than X amount number of teams? And I said, yes. Part of me thinks that because of Minnesota and Brian Flores, because of Kansas City and Steve Spagnuolo, because of Jeff Schwartz, because of these guys that Kyle Shanahan can't seem to beat, I wonder if he's fucking with his offense in an attempt to try to find something that works against these guys. Do you know what I mean? Because it's one thing to run a little bit more like man beater coverage, but he's always been one of those guys that leads the league in play action and lead the league in like yak yardage in terms of like getting his receivers open in space. Even the amount of tunnel screens that they've thrown have gone down. I just wonder if he's trying new things in an effort to see if something will stick against one of these guys. And you can use lesser teams as like a proof of concept. So let's say Kansas City is really good at man coverage and they're really good at taking away the middle of the field. So you go against another team that likes to run man coverage, but just isn't as talented. Now you start throwing in some proof of concept plays. Hey, is this going to work against this bad team? Because if it does, then maybe we try it and save that for later. If it doesn't, we're going to scrap it right away. Because if it doesn't work against this bad man team, it's not going to work against the good man teams like Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And this is where we kind of are judging them for are they really high on their own supply and they feel like they can turn it on? And this is a little bit of that. You're going away from the thing that got you to the dance in an effort to wish cast ahead to, if we play these guys in the Super Bowl, if we play these guys in the playoffs. And it's a dangerous game to play, but I think that the necessity for evolution is what's kind of guiding Kyle's hand here.
And the cool thing about what Kyle is doing is, I think he has the last 4 seasons, well, let's call it 3.5, of success in his back pocket. If I have to revert back to that, I can at any given time, because everybody here is comfortable with it, minus Pearsall in this offense. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, right. And now that Christian McCaffrey is here, it's like, hey,
I will say this. Remember the first week that Pearsall played and him and Chris Conley were like swapping up a bunch and it looked like, Did you see any of that this week from Pearsall?
No, not at all.
No. And what it tells me is that, and the fact that Pearsall gets a ton of reps tells me that, 1, he's talented, obviously first round draft pick, but 2, it looks like he's picking up this offense really well.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And that's why when people say, well, why isn't Cowing getting out there? Well, they would put Cowing out there if they wanted him to run a fly route, it looks like, because I don't know how much of the offense he's picked up, but it's clearly not to the same level that Pearsall has picked it up, because Pearsall is actually getting a lot of reps. I mean, he gets more reps than Ronnie Bell. He's getting more reps than Chris Conley, obviously. Mm-hmm. He's stride for stride, essentially. It looks like him and Jawan are getting, I mean, he might not be at Jawan's level, but he's going to be pretty close.
Well, Jawan was playing the X receiver in this game for the first time in his career, and he didn't have a terrible game.
No.
He didn't have a terrible game at all. Jawan Jennings was actually the Niners' leading receiver. He had 7 receptions on, I believe, 11 targets. Yeah, 11 targets for 93 yards. And so he's out there and he's doing his thing. And not only is he, getting some separation, all that, he's breaking tackles. He's getting some yak after, he's getting, and when I say yak, I don't mean after the catch. I mean after contact. He's catching the ball, they're hitting him, he's holding up and scrambling some more. I remember that final drive. I'm like, go out of bounds. What are you doing? No. And it was like, oh, yes, right? It was like, it was genius. Like, and I wonder what that call was. Like, go to the sideline if you don't think you can make another guy miss, or if you think you can get a couple extra, like, was it an option type of thing of what to do with the ball afterwards? Because they threw it to the sideline. It went to the right sideline. He got it, and he was like, I can break this tackle. This guy's not going to bring me down. Like, you could see, like, him processing it. And then he even tried to make another move right before the tackle. Like, he tried to do a little spin, and they brought him down, and they hurried to the line, and they got ready to kick the game winner there.
So I just want to break it down. Jawan Jennings had 58 snaps against Tampa Bay, which was 90.6% of the snaps. And Ricky Pearsall was at 41 snaps, which was 64.1% of the offensive snaps. And for a guy in his 3rd game in the middle of his rookie season, everybody says, oh, Shanahan hates rookies. Apparently he doesn't hate this rookie because...
Yeah. Just curious, what was Debo's? Do you have Debo's up there?
I can pull it up right now. Debo Samuel. Let me see. Oh, pardon me.
So you got 58, you got 41. Debo's and probably somewhere in the middle.
50. Yeah.
There you go. Somewhere in the middle.
Dead
there
set
it is.
in the middle. Yeah.
Yep.
50.
So,
I mean, that tells you that Pearsall is somebody who's expected to contribute early.
Yes. Yeah. The expectation is there, regardless of what the output is going to be. He is out there and he's going to be doing his thing. And, not for nothing, I think those numbers are kind of similar. It's going to sound bad. And I know he wasn't playing the X all the time, but those numbers are pretty similar to what Brandon Ayuk would be doing. Like Brandon Ayuk is out there for most of the plays, and that doesn't mean he's going to lead the team in targets. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's pretty impressive how Kyle is making those adjustments. I think that Kyle was kind of forced to rely on some of this rookie talent due to the injuries and all that, and now he's kind of like, all right, again, another new trick for this old dog. It's like, all right, I got some rookies, I got some inexperienced guys that I'm going to go ahead and lean on. I'm going to depend on. It started with the offensive line. Here it is with the wide receivers now. And he's even mixing in some tight ends a little bit more than I think what people even realize.
By the way, would you like to know Deommodore Lenoir's snap count percentage for the season?
Oh man, I'm gonna, if I have to guess it, I'm going to say 92%. It's got to be really high because he doesn't come off the field, man.
98.74% of snaps he's on the field.
Let's freaking go, man. Let's freaking go, man.
And he has 42 special team snaps this year, by the way.
Yeah. And what a good guess by Ellis here. You were close, bro. You were close, Ellis. Really, really good there, man. Really good guess. Before we move on to the next phase of the game, I want to stick with the offense one more time here. With this new look offense, and I think that it's clear, it's a different look. Do you think that is why we've seen some inconsistencies from Brock Purdy? It's a very open-ended question, very vague, so you can go with it whichever way you like.
Yeah, so I do think that it could be a little bit of inconsistency from Brock Purdy from the offense, but the processing part of it, Brock has typically been very well at that, right? Like JT O'Sullivan always breaks it down and says, like, hey, give Brock Purdy the ability to, change the Mike linebacker and call the protection because he knows the playbook and he shouldn't be, essentially having to turn his back to the hot rusher to throw the hot route. You know what I mean? You typically throw it to the same side. The other thing too, remember, Brandon Ayuk contract holdout, not in good shape. Deebo Samuel had the pneumonia, had an injury, like sat out a game or two. You had Ricky Pearsall getting shot, wasn't in camp to gather that or garner that support. George Kittle has had a bunch of ticky-tack, like little things that have kept him on and off the field. You add Jawan Jennings missed 2 or 3 games with the hip.
Yeah.
The wide receiver position has been in such flux, and then you take out Christian McCaffrey, so you don't have the consistency not only in pass protection but in the receiving game. I think it's a bunch of different issues, the offensive line protection, and of course Brock Purdy probably feeling like he has to earn that $60 million contract or whatever it's going to be. It's a multifaceted type of problem where it's not just one thing, but it's a confluence of different things that lead to the result that we have. And if you just covered the interceptions tab on Brock Purdy, you would think that he's having a pretty good season so far. He's not having a bang. He's up near, 66% completions. He's near the top of the league in yards. Obviously they're not scoring touchdowns, but that's, again, how many touchdowns are rushing touchdowns this year, right? Like you got to take that into account too, because, let's say somebody like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen that run in a bunch of touchdowns. If they didn't run in those touchdowns, like would they have a couple more passing touchdowns? Whatever. You just wonder if sometimes the rush cannibalizes the pass. That's not to say that he couldn't have more. Certainly he could have more, but the interceptions are really where it is. A couple were tips and a couple were just bad decisions, and that's the way that it goes.
Right.
I specifically remember, I remember one specifically bounced off of Deebo's hands, like not like behind him, but literally bounced off his hands. It was a pick. 2 in Kansas City against Kansas City were tipped into the air, were interceptions. So like it's kind of bad luck stuff. And the 49ers have had some bad luck go against them. They are 5-4, and yet they lead the NFL in yardage differential in the game.
Yeah.
And it's by they're like plus 988 or something like that. Yeah. It's like 10 football fields length over their opponents. And usually you wouldn't see a team lose that much.
That many games with 1,000 yards.
Are they still the only team in the NFC West with a plus point differential?
Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. NFC West standings. Let's see what we got here. Yeah. So the point differential.
Well, the Cardinals are now plus 18, but for a while it wasn't that way.
Okay.
So the Cardinals are now plus 18, but before it was the 49ers still have the highest differential. They're the third plus 31.
Yeah.
But for other than the last couple of weeks, Arizona wasn't there, and Arizona's a up and coming team. But the Rams, when we played Arizona, that should have been a win for the 49ers. They didn't do it. The Rams obviously should have been a win. They're not a good team. Yeah. By the way, Ian Sharp brings up a good point. The Cardinals 238, which is technically the most points for, they played an extra game. They played 10 to the 49ers 9.
Right. We haven't. We're missing a game still, so we got to keep.
So the
that in mind.
49ers lead the NFC West in points per game offensively. So again, and this is another thing with Kyle Shanahan, right? How good were the 49ers in the red zone last year?
We were tops in the league.
Right. And now they're near the bottom in the league.
I think 30, 31, something like that. Like it's pretty bad.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
They're bad. And then special teams is 31st in the league. And so I think DVOA offensively, the Niners are third. DVOA for defense, they're fourth, and special teams 31st.
So that's a good transition to our next, or a good segue here to our next topic here, the 49ers special teams concerns.
Yeah.
This special teams unit, man, it's even worse than what I thought it was going to be. I predicted before week one even kicked off that the special teams was going to cost the Niners 2 games. It's cost us that and more so far, almost cost us 2 more of the wins that we have. Could have easily been losses due to the special teams. I mean, we had a turnover in this game as well on special teams. We know about the 9-point swing with the missed field goals, the 3 missed field goals from Jake Moody in this game. I'm just curious to get your thoughts on it, Matt. We know that there was some news about Mitch Wisnowski that came out recently. He is getting second opinions for what does it mean when someone gets a second opinion? Like, does that mean like, hey, we don't think you're good enough to play or healthy enough to play right now?
No,
And
it's
so,
the player probably heard something he doesn't want to hear, and so he wants to get a second opinion to see if that physician concurs with the first one.
But what purpose does that serve is what I'm asking. Like, if you're
It's a
you're either healthy
usually
enough
a
to play or you're not.
Well, but it's the severity, right? And to me, it's concerning that if he's getting a second opinion, it's because it's like Dak Prescott, right? Got a second opinion on his hamstring to see if he actually needed surgery or if it was something that they could treat conservatively. And as we all know, he is having the surgery and he's out for the season. So that other physician probably was like, yeah, you need to get this operated on. And it's one of those things where, seeing is believing, and the more sources you have, the better. I think that it's just a way to kind of reinforce the player, like, hey, this is, and it could go the other direction too. If the physician goes, oh yeah, you should be good to go, and the player's like, yeah, but I feel really terrible, and it tends to be, let's say it's a team physician. It's like, well, it's a team physician selling me wolf tickets just because they want me to play.
Right.
Let me go to an independent physician so that there's, and I'm sure the team does the same thing, right? Like, hey, let's go with an independent physician. That way, if, we get multiple perspectives. And so, yeah.
So there's some teams in the NFL that have scored more points than the 49ers. Let's be very clear what we're saying. The Niners are at 233 on the year. You have the Cardinals with 238. You have the Commanders at 290. You have the Lions at 284. Now, the Lions is interesting because they have played the same amount of games as the Niners with the 9. And you have the Falcons at 238, but they've played 10 also. So anyone ahead of the Niners, not the Lions, have played more games than them. And that's just in the NFC. I'm not worried about the AFC right now. That's just the NFC. If you go to the AFC, there's only one team that has scored more points than the Niners, and they also have played 10 games, and that's the Bills. So the Niners are towards the top of the league as far as points per game. But I want to get back to the special teams unit. I want to focus on this really quick. What's the fix here? Are we looking for a new kicker? Are we looking for a new punter? Are you willing to ride out with Jake Moody? Are you a little bit more forgiving? I know after the game we didn't beat around the bush. We were like, we're not going to make these excuses for this guy and all that stuff. But now that we've calmed down a little bit, Kyle showed all the faith in the world in him. It was either overtime or a win, right? So I don't know how much faith he actually showed in the kicker. It was like, hey, if you miss it, fuck it, we're going to overtime, right? If you make it, then we get the win and cool, we can celebrate a little bit. What are your thoughts on the kicking situation, the punter and the kicker alike?
Yeah, it's a mess. And I know Kyle, I think he said something like, yeah, that last one, he hit it right down the middle. And I was like, bro, it wasn't right down the middle.
He barely got it in the right upright, yeah.
Yeah. I will say it's not that he's shanking kicks. It's that his aim is just off. You know what I mean?
Hasn't that been the thing since he got here though. He's
Yeah,
never
I mean,
been a
it's
right
not
down
like
the middle
you've
guy.
seen the knuckleball kicks, right? Where it goes straight and then it like knuckles out. His are just like they're straight and they just barely miss. And I'm just like, man, are you just looking at one of the uprights? Like, what is happening? Like, how are you striking this ball? Like, is there a flaw in your approach? Yeah, I listen. They're not going to change from Jake Moody right now. They're just not going to do it unless he
You
has
say
another
that, but you
disastrous
sound
game.
very like confident in it. Like I don't know that that's not the case. Like I mean, right?
Well, they're
looking
not.
good,
They're not
Carlson-
changing this week. How about that?
Okay.
Now, if he misses another 3 field goals, I think they're giving him the benefit of the doubt because he missed multiple weeks with that high ankle sprain, and they're like, okay, like they're
Let's
looking
let
at
him
it
get
like
back to it.
he missed, but like they were barely misses. You know what I mean? I also think that maybe I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but maybe 5% of this was all the shenanigans with Deebo Samuel. Like, hey, is it a bad look if we just cut Jake Moody after Deebo Samuel
Went off
got
on
into an
him.
altercation?
Right.
Give him pardon the phrase, but give him the rope to hang himself with. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're gonna let you go back out there, but if he screws it up, then they can they can always go and get somebody else. I mean, they found Anders Carlson in a Whole Foods and brought him out on the field, and now he's with the Jets, and that's unfortunate. But again,
I guess
his first kick that he missed, right? I was like, don't trip. That's his first missed field goal of the season. And then he missed the next 2. So let me see how he adjusts. And that's all you can do, right? See how he adjusts. If he continues to miss kicks, he's going to be gone no matter what. If he makes kicks, then he's just going to extend that process a little further.
I guess my question is, when it comes to Jake Moody in particular, do the Niners owe him more opportunities? Like, I mean, this is what, the 3rd season for him? Right.
Second.
This is only his second. He was a rookie last year.
He was a rookie last year.
So this is his 2nd season here. Like, is it okay to just be like, yeah, we tried it. We're not confident. Let's just go ahead and move on. Like, is it too early for that?
I think they're going to keep him for the rest of the year. But I would say that,
next year there's going to be 3 guys on the 90-man roster.
If he keeps missing, they're gonna have an open kicker competition next season. They might not outright cut him. See, here's part of the problem. And I know that we're in on this, and I want to look this up real quick.
And while you look it up, it's like it's just off the top, right? It's like roster politics is a thing, and the Niners invested a pretty high draft pick in this young man.
All right, it's not the worst problem. I was thinking that his contract was probably bigger than it was. It's a 4-year, $5.4 million deal. They can get out from that easily,
right?
But it's just listen. I think they're giving him the benefit of the doubt because he had been perfect on field goals throughout the season so far. And
I think he
first
missed
came
one.
back after intro. What's that?
I think he had missed one before today.
No, he missed an extra point, but not a field goal.
Oh, that's yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
It's an extra point.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a coincidence that all the players were like, "Oh, he was perfect all week in practice"? Like every player said that, and then they also
said that last year though. This team is super media trained. Like after the game, like does anybody really think that all Deebo said to him was lock in? Does anybody think that that's all he actually said and that set Tabor Pepper off like that? Like if you think that that's all that was said, despite I know what they said to the media, there's no fucking way. There is no fucking way. Well, because if he did say lock in and Tabor Pepper flipped out like that enough to have Deebo react, then Tabor Pepper would get cut.
Right. Then check your prescriptions, dude. Like your balance is off. Right. So it must
he
have
literally
been
said he literally looked. He said, "Get him the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
I watched him say it.
Yeah. Yep. And you could see it on his lips. It's just it's weird to me that the whole team, like you said, they're very media trained. Not only did they say, "Oh, he was perfect in practice all week long," so we felt confident in him, but the other thing that I noticed that they all said was, and this maybe stood out to me, I didn't watch the last one. how many people did you hear say, "Oh, I didn't watch it. I just listened for the crowd reaction"? Even Fred Warner was like, "Oh, I watched Robbie Gould one time, and it was the one kick that he missed. And so then when I watched him kick the first one that he missed, which was his second attempt, and he missed it, I was like, okay, what am I doing? That's on me because I'm kind of superstitious, right?" And then you hear Kittle echo the same sentiments. It's like, "Yeah, I didn't watch it. I just listened for the crowd reaction. Sometimes I look up at the jumbotron just to see what happened, what the outcome was." Like, what exactly? What is the message that they were trying to send with that part?
I don't know.
If it is
we got
media
a
training.
couple people that actually think all he said was lock in. Guys, I got a bridge in Brooklyn that I want to sell you for the low price of get the fuck out of here. Like, come on, man. It says a lot, but this team is so, again, like it said, media trained, or like I said, media training. This team is so media trained that in the game that Mason had, where he said, "Hey, when did you learn you were starting?" The season opener, we had entire topics of conversation on the show about what he said because it was so out of character for the team that, you know, you were convinced. It's like, hey, he's not even gonna start next week. He's not gonna get no carries. Like, he fucked himself just by talking and saying he knew on Friday.
Yeah,
this team is so many. And again, look at what they're all saying. It's like every news report, right, where they all start speaking the same way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's all the same thing. It's the same thing. They're all like, "Oh, yep, we're good. Like, we squashed it. We left it in Tampa. Like,
yeah,
it's good. We squashed it. We squashed it. We squashed
the beef
it
in Tampa. Yeah,
left the beef. Yeah, exactly. And it's all the same shit.
It's like, come on, man. You guys brought the whole cow home with you. Don't lie to us, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it came back on the plane. Like, don't trip. And it's okay. It's okay to be emotional, but like,
the hands-on aspect of it was a little too hard. Was a little too far. Like, you can't be throating your teammates like that out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I know somebody said on our show, like, "Oh, they do it in practice." It's like, well, practice isn't really nationally televised,
right?
And it's because you're literally going against each other. So the offense is going against the defense. So if Nick Bosa and Trent Williams go at it, you understand that because they're literally physically competing against each other, and it like tempers flare that way. But going after a teammate, listen, every time
you don't even play special teams,
past,
Debo. Like, what are you doing?
It's a completely different phase of the game. But anytime we've seen teammates go after each other in games and it gets physical, it's usually the sign of an undisciplined team, and that's usually the sign of a bad team. So I think they want to sleep with this under the rug as fast as they can, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, it was a little weird. And I stand by everything I said on the overreaction show. I think Debo was out of line for going towards special teams player, and you don't play special teams. Like, Tabor even said, like, "Hey, we have each other. Like, we got this. Like, we know what we need to do. We know And then Kyle, here's the most interesting part with it all. Mm-hmm. One, Kyle saying, "Oh, I didn't see what happened between him and Debo until you got, coming up here. They kind of prepped me for it." The other thing was, I didn't have any words for him going into the final kick. Mm-hmm. So it goes back to what I was saying. Either Kyle just straight up didn't care, right? I don't care.
I don't think he didn't care. I don't think he didn't care. I think that to the point, like, again, is he looking towards the sideline, towards Debo and Tabor Pepper's interaction, or did he watch his kicker miss another kick and he's like motherfucking over on the side too, and not necessarily look, because we know how he is, right? When God, what was it? Was it Brock Purdy threw the ball to Christian McCaffrey, and you just see Kyle like pump his fists and be like, yeah, like, he's not looking at the shit behind him. He's focusing on like what his aspect of the game is. He could have been going over plays. He could have been like, hey, like, let me look at this this third down play or whatever, because I think it was the drive that Brock Purdy check down merchant had that jump pass to Deebo Samuel across the middle that Deebo got them into field goal range after the fact, that he missed on. So, I think, again, listen, and Mark Lamar's in here. I don't care that Deebo said something to Tabor Pepper. I really don't. But when Tabor Pepper chirps back at you, don't be throat punching the dude.
Right. Exactly.
Like, that's my, where it got physical. That's the only thing that I disagreed with. Like, teammates chirp at each other all the time. That ain't nothing. I watched Tom Brady like berate teammates and coaches and shit, and that's just competitive, and you want to win, and you want. But you know what Tom Brady didn't do? He never throw punch a teammate. Like,
Right.
That we saw in public. So that's the only thing that I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Very interesting. Would you make any changes on special teams?
Yeah, man,
during the season?
listen, I think if they're not doing their job, then absolutely. Because I think we all know that Wisnowski has not been good this year. And Preston Harvin was actually like better in preseason. They kept Moody around because Kyle does value loyalty to a certain extent. And I think that's why Moody is getting a certain amount of runway as well. But I'm not attached to any of them. I don't think Jake Moody's going to lose his job right now, but I'm out on Jake Moody in terms of like me defending him. Like, oh, he's a rookie. Oh, he's like, he's been good. Oh, the thing was blocked in the Super Bowl or whatever. Like, I'm done with the excuses. If you're not making kicks, you got to go because that's your one job.
Yeah.
If you're not getting good punt averages when you have to punt the ball, you got to go. If you can't coffin corner a punt, you got to go. That's just the way that it is. So
yeah, I mean, and for
and don't forget they still have Wright that they can bring back if they need to.
Yeah,
Wright seemed like he was okay kicking the ball. The only reason that he didn't play and they went after Carlson is because he made that tackle and dislocated his shoulder.
His shoulder got messed up. Yeah. Walking away from a game 2 of 5. So what is that? 40% he made in the game, right? Like, I mean. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe it's just one bad game, right?
Yeah, maybe it's one bad game. Your first game back after being away for so long, and again, it's the kicking foot that the ankle was messed up on, and we talked about that on the Overreaction show. Let's see how he comes out and plays this upcoming week. As far as returnment and all that stuff, I think there was a little bit of back and forth, some ups and downs, some ebbs and flows there. You saw the
immediately on the fumble,
turnover.
I thought that was on Cowing, but upon further review, Luter got pushed into him. Cowing was just trying to clear. And so I don't put that on Cowing, and I respect the fact that, I was able to see that and admit, like, hey, at first I thought that was on Cowing. I don't think that's on Cowing, and he had a really nice return later on in the game,
right after, kind of redeemed himself there. And that's kind of like the synopsis for the special teams, right? It's like bad play, bad play, bad play, bad play. Oh, there's a good play. Why can't we get that kind of stuff consistently, right? The good plays are just too far few in between. Like if special teams starts out really well, which we've seen in games, later on they end up saying, oh, there's the special teams that we've been used to seeing, right?
I mean, I'm sure you're like me, right? You're conditioned to expect a screw up on special teams.
Yeah.
Every time the ball is kicked off, I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yep.
It's like, okay, here we go.
Holding your breath. Yep. Yeah.
Every time.
It's
like it takes me back to whenever I would see Jimmy Garoppolo go like this. You know what I'm saying? Every time he would scramble and go like this, I'm like, fuck. Here comes a pick.
They said he was 3 of 6. I thought he made the first one, missed 3 in a row, and then made the last one. Am I wrong? 23.
He was 3 of 6.
Oh, okay. All right. So my math was off a little bit. I apologize. I missed a whole attempt. I apologize. So, okay.
Yeah.
So 50%, not 40%, but it's still.
Yeah, the 49ers only scored the 2 touchdowns. They had 3 field goals and then 3 misses.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the third phase of the game, and this is one that is pretty big to me. The defensive concerns going forward. The 49ers defense has been very consistent all year long. And when I say consistent, I mean in their inconsistencies, right? This team has done something that is just not the 49ers standard when it comes to defense. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know how else to say it, Matt. And maybe you can help me out here. What should we expect from this defense going forward? I mean, we've got some high-scoring opponents coming in here. I talked about the Lions being the team in the NFC that averages more points a game than the 49ers. And I talked about the Bills averaging the most points a game in the NFL at 290. And we have to play both of these teams. Like, are the Niners even in place to get into a shootout knowing this defense and how they play?
I mean, in terms of, total defense, I mean, the 49ers are 9th in the NFL, which surprised me. They're 12th in passing and 8th in rushing. I think it's more about opportunity, and this is why special teams matters. We look at it as like the 49ers are having inopportune times, but look at this game. Look at the first half of this game. You know, how are the Bucs able to score that last touchdown?
What the last one was?
When it was 10-3, how were they able to score that touchdown before the half?
Oh, they just drove down the field. What do you mean? Like it was clusterfuck after clusterfuck. That was that the misfield? No, was that the punt? I'm trying to think of how it was. It was right before the half.
I think it was the punt.
But either way, this is it. Right. Honestly, I'll be completely honest with you. It didn't matter because the Niners have not stopped the team going into halftime. Their last drive has resulted in points of some kind. No matter how you try to spin it, it could be a defense just let them drive 90-plus yards. It could be a special teams botch. It could be a missed field goal of some sort. Like they don't stop teams going into halftime. This is something I've complained about all year long, and again, they've been consistently inconsistent in that fashion. It's a major concern for me.
Yeah, I do think that penalties is, not good. But the special teams being as bad as it is, and the 49ers offense turning the ball over a little more, I think has put the defense in worse positions than you would want. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Let me double check this. Sorry. I just want to...
And while you're looking at that, I see people saying the 49ers giving Demo a contract early is the best.
Sorry, no. Actually, they're absolutely right. It was 10-3 at half. And I think that the 49ers went 3 and out. The Bucs did on the first possession coming out of the half, and they punted it, and that was the fumble.
No, but going into it, they still scored.
They
got the 3 points.
Sure. But I'm talking about, like, again, you give up 3 points in the half of an NFL game, like you're happy with that. Right?
No. Yes.
3 points for the entire half?
Face value.
You're happy with that.
Face value, yes.
Because
it's how they gave up the 3 points.
You know for a fact that on that last drive, they're playing to not give up a touchdown. They don't give a fuck about 3.
That's not good enough. That's not the standard.
That's how literally every team in the NFL plays.
It shouldn't be a standard.
But it is. You might not think it should be a standard, but literally every NFL team on a last possession and a half is just be like, don't give up 7.
And that's okay to make it a one-score game?
No, but you're missing the forest for the trees here, Mike.
Help me.
No one gives a fuck about 3. What I'm saying is, why were they able to tie the game? Oh, Nate Shad says, no, they got no points at the end. They already had the 3.
That can't be right. I promise you guys they did not stop them going into halftime. They scored. I think they got like one more short. Where is it here? I got it. I'll pull up the scoring drives. Punt, touchdown Niners. Punt, field goal Niners. So that made it 10-0. Field goal by Tampa Bay. Missed field goal by the Niners. And then end of half because they punted. So their second to last drive of the half.
But that's not the last drive.
But their last drive was only 17 seconds, so that doesn't count. Like the Niners had the ball at the end, and we ended up missing the field goal, so then they ended up taking a knee. That's different. Their last real possession of the half, it was 14 plays, 8 minutes almost, and they scored.
Right, for 3, and the 49ers had opportunity with a minute 14 left and a couple of timeouts to go down there and then they missed a field goal.
Right.
And then the Bucs kneeled it out.
So the teams
So the 49ers got a last drive. So it's not like the Bucs scored right before the half. But what I'm saying is the reason that they were able to get a touchdown, and it seems like the defense is maybe worse than it is because of the fumble that allowed them to tie it. And my point being is that this defense, when bad things happen and they get stuck in inopportune positions, tend to let it get in their head, and they let the mistakes compile. Yeah. Exactly that. But again, they were able. Again, what was Tampa Bay's last drive? A 3 and out.
Of what?
Of the fourth quarter was a 3 and out.
Oh yeah. Of the fourth quarter, yeah.
Right, was a 3 and out. So
let me see. No, their last possession was a field goal. That was the one that tied it up. Tampa Bay's last possession of the game was a 14-play drive for a field goal, and then the Niners went and kicked the field goal to win it. That's what it was.
All right. So, there was a 3 and out in the fourth quarter.
Yes. Yeah. That was They got the ball. It was 2 minutes and 5. It was actually pretty impressive by the defense. 5 plays, minus 13 yards, and it took over 2 minutes. So that was a good one. Yeah.
By the way, was that field goal at the end of the drive? Was that the drive where they tried to do everything they could to let the Bucks have? Was that the 3 straight defensive penalties?
Yeah,
right.
that
The
was
hands
a ton
to
of
the
penalties
face.
in that one.
Yeah.
6-yard pass, run for no gain, pass incomplete, 8-yard pass, 5-yard penalty, first down, 3-yard run, pass incomplete, 15-yard penalty, first down, 19.
And the defense got a 3 and out coming out of the
down.
half, which led to the punt fumble too. So it's not like the defense has been bad. I don't think the defense has been bad. I think a lot of it is circumstantial where they're put in bad positions. Again, I challenge you to find me the game on the schedule where the 49ers have played a complete game from beginning to end. You can't find it because they haven't done it yet.
Not a single one. And
so these games end up being closer than they need to be. This game should have been a 10-point Niners win easily. Easily should have been a 10-point Niners win, if not more.
Yeah.
Right?
Kyle alluded to that we've been kind of spoiled lately where we've been able to get up double digits and get out of there with 2-3 score wins in the past seasons, and this year it's just not been that way.
Yeah, that's horse shit, dude. It's execution. They're not doing it.
Right.
They're not executing. I don't want to hear that. From the same guy who's now trying to give excuse to why we're spoiled is the same guy that's like, I'll never pull my starters because of what happened to Detroit in 2020.
Right.
Like, fuck out of here with that. Again, that's that media training bullshit speak. I don't think that he actually believes that. I believe he's ripping into players in the locker room for their lack of, focus or whatever. But,
I have a question for you.
Sure.
They're
relying on people they don't want to rely on. Devondre Campbell, they don't want to rely on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he had a solid game, and like he just
but we've seen him fuck up a ton, right? Who do you think you would rather have out there, Devondre Campbell or Dre Greenlaw?
Oh, stop
like it's
it.
not right. It's right.
It's easy.
But I'm just saying, like they're relying on people that they don't want to rely on, that they haven't relied on in years past, right?
But he's still there. They don't have a choice.
I understand that, but you're missing the point. Is that they've previously had players that have been in the culture for years and years and years, and now they have a lot of newcomers, a lot of rookies that are playing meaningful time, and so I think you're seeing mistakes in execution.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same players. Just like he'd probably rather have Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead out there than
Anderson,
Okawanye and Anderson, because Anderson had an illegal hands to the face penalty on that drive as well.
But that very next play, did he get that sack? Yeah, man.
No, he did. Well, no, he stuffed the running back and grabbed.
That's what it was. A run. It was a run.
Yeah,
it was so far in the backfield that I thought it was a sack. Like it was incredible how quickly he
blew it up.
Yeah,
but isn't he an undrafted free agent rookie as well?
Yep. Another rookie
so again, another rookie. You have to rely on Ricky Pearsall because BA is out, or you have to rely on a Jacob Cowing because you apparently are allergic to finding a good returner. Like remember they signed Ray Cloud to be the return guy, and he made like one of the biggest idiotic punt fumble recoveries in the history of the 49ers, second only to maybe Mike Williams.
Oh, good callback.
Or Kyle Williams. I'm sorry, Kyle Williams.
No, I know who you meant. Good call back there.
What is it with 49ers and number 10? Between Kyle Williams, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Ronnie Bell, like they need to light that number on fire.
Yeah, like stop assigning that number, man. It is a curse. I'm not kidding.
It's bad.
I got a question for you. There was a play.
Steve-O, everyone craps on Campbell, but he's second in the tackles on the team. Yeah, but he sucks in coverage, and that's an issue.
Well, so you can
tackles doesn't necessarily mean that you're
that
doing
just means
good.
that opposing defenses are targeting you because they know they can complete it and get some positive yards.
Like Lenoir is never going to lead the league in interceptions, but then he also doesn't even get thrown at that much.
Right. Yeah. So you got to take it with context, Steve-O.
Sure.
Matt, there was a play where it looked like it was going to be a sack. Bosa got to Mayfield. Jesus. What is his name? The quarterback. Something.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, it is Mayfield. Yeah. Bosa got to Mayfield early, but Mayfield stuck his arm out, and Bosa just held his arm to the sideline and allowed him to get the throw off. I have a question, and I'm hoping that someone can answer this. Okay. If Bosa just grabs his arm and drops, is that a legal tackle?
They might call a hip drop. If he drops his hips, they might call a hip drop.
So the hip drop is not
a defender literally dropping their hips.
What a trash rule. Like, what was he supposed to do in that situation?
Well, what he was trying to do was rely on his defense behind him and use Baker Mayfield's stiff arm to push him out of bounds.
Oh, man. Like, and it was close. It was all the way. He ran with him for 20 yards across the field.
Yeah.
And just holding on to him. But it was like, I'm like, dude, just drop. Like, let it go. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and here's the thing. I think that if it was another quarterback, say like a Kyler Murray or somebody like that, it probably would have been a sack. But Baker Mayfield is not like a meek and like, I mean, he's a strong dude. Like he is. He's a strong quarterback, because there were later instances in the game where people had a hold of Baker Mayfield and he still escaped. Big dudes too, where he was spinning out of sacks and doing that. Like Baker Mayfield is,
Yeah. No, he's short and he's stout, so he's tough to bring down. You know what I mean? It kind of goes. It plays a role. It plays a role. We're gonna wrap this thing up here soon, guys. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed the show. Matt and I just ping ponging some thoughts of the Niners going forward. Matt, man, I want to get your final thoughts on this game, on the season so far, what you're expecting going forward. Tell people where to follow you guys and all that good stuff. Let's get your final thoughts. I'll give my final thoughts afterwards, and we'll get up out of here, man.
Yeah, it's been a lot of up and down for the 49ers. Inconsistency has been the theme of the year, and it's not going to cut it going forward. Seattle is a very important game, and then they go on a run of really hard games. I believe it's Green. I don't know who's exactly after Seattle, but I know that they have Buffalo and Green Bay both coming up, along with somebody else. And I mean, it's a tough stretch of the season. So let me actually look at their schedule, because I want to make sure that we get this right. It's 49ers, and then it's the Green Bay Packers, and then it's the Bills.
Seahawks, Packers, Bills,
yeah. And then you get a little bit of a reprieve. I think the Bears are a terrible team. I think the Rams are a bad team. And then the Dolphins are obviously a bad team. But then you finish against the NFC's number 1 seed with the Lions, and a divisional game against the Cardinals. So it's a bad... this could potentially turn sideways, and the 49ers really need to bump up their efficiency marks. If they can play up to their potential, they have not played a clean game this season. I think that they have an opportunity to really go deep into the playoffs again, but they have to prove it to me, because at this point you're 9 games into the season and you haven't been able to put together a start to finish outstanding game. So I think that's the issue.
Right.
Is consistency is an issue, and it starts from the coaching on down. And Kyle Shanahan needs to get more involved. He needs to care more about special teams. The discipline of this team, between penalties and scuffles and all this BS, it's got to get cut out. There is an opportunity for the 49ers to do some damage, but they need to stop shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
You guys, make sure you guys give Matt a follow. His handle is on the screen there, Mr. Matt BSN on X. You guys, make sure you guys follow the YouTube page for them over there. Also, it's 49ers Hive. Please make sure you guys go over there and give them a follow. Show them some love as well. And I'm going to give my final thoughts here also. I don't know if you guys paid attention to the title of today's episode, but it's Stake Your Claim, right? Us Niner fans, we have kind of been spoiled, but we've been spoiled because we believe that we have the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. We've seen the Niners go out and win games by double digits, two score leads, 3 score leads, so on and so forth. And the tough games are usually the games that come against really, really good teams. That has not been the case this year so far. However, this game said something to me. This game spoke to me, and this game was kind of a message, right? It's time for us to stake our claim. It's time for us to pick a side of the fence that we are going to ride out with for the rest of the year. This is almost a call to action to the faithful out there, to us content creators out here, right? It's going to be time for us to define who we are and how we feel about this team and stop being so reactive. Are we going to be the faithful, right? And that doesn't mean blind optimism and we're going to win no matter what. Doesn't mean that necessarily, right? But all year long, and for the last 2 seasons, if I'm being honest, I kept hearing people say the Niners can't win gritty games. The Niners can't win dirty games. It doesn't get much more gritty than what we just saw. Traveling across the country, different time zone, a team that was desperate to break their losing streak heading into their bye. You have a kicker coming back from injury, missing not 1, not 2, but 3 field goals. Special teams continuing with their whiffs, right? And they still find a way to win this in regulation, not having to go into overtime. And while you guys can sit here and say, well, this is a tired Tampa Bay team who had just come off of a short week and overtime themselves, they were still the home team, guys. They were still the team that had everything to gain by winning this one. They are also a team that is not in first place in their division, looking up to someone else and wanted to try to get back into contention, while the Niners are in the same exact position. It's time for us to pick a side. This game, in short, was a synopsis of the season. Special teams, massive liability, a big disappointment with very few bright spots. The defense was great until it wasn't. Too many penalties, allowing the opposing team to extend drives and end up getting points off of those drives. Okay? The offense could move the ball efficiently, but they would falter in the red zone. Again, pretty much a synopsis of the entire season. And then having to depend on a special teams unit that just has not been there all year long. But then the differences started to appear in this game. All of a sudden, we realized Christian McCaffrey is back. He may not have been the best running back on the field in this game. However, he was the best weapon on the field in this game. And we saw that when Brock Purdy scrambles to his right and throws a rainbow while staring down the barrel of a helmet from the Buccaneers coming right at his face. And Christian McCaffrey has the time to adjust and makes a beautiful, deep reception down the right sideline. Okay? We all of a sudden see first-round pick Ricky Pearsall contributing in a major way. Okay, getting his first NFL touchdown. All of a sudden, George Kittle seems to find his way again. Kittle, if I'm not mistaken, is like 4 touchdowns in 4 games or something like that, right? All of a sudden, George Kittle is starting to look like the person that we want him to be. And then the special teams holding on and saying, hey, we may have been bad, but give us one more opportunity. Okay, this was a gritty win. This was what this 49ers season is as a whole. We aren't the best team, and our record indicates that. We're 5-4. We're not as bad as our record indicates, but we're not as good as what we hope we're going to be. Is this a sign of the 49ers turning the corner? Was this game a peek into what could be? Because everything that we saw that was negative seems to be correctable and coachable. We see the team fighting with each other, which is a sign of the passion that they have for this game and their love for the game. And it even speaks to the expectations that they have for one another. We can harp on the negative and say Debo was out of line and bad. Or we can say we like that passion and we're going to stand behind that passion. And we can see the players already saying, hey, it's behind us. Are we going to say we believe them and that we understand what it was? Or are we going to say that's bullshit and this team is full of turmoil? I'm not telling you guys how to feel. I am saying that it is time for us to plant a flag in one side or the other and stand behind it for the rest of the season, guys. I am saying that it is time for the faithful to prepare for glory, to anticipate pain, but always remain faithful. That's going to do it for us tonight. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.
We all gas, no brakes, pumped up, no fakes. We spinning, we winning, we high stakes. We never miss, we all makes. Look at us dudes trying to prove, bringing you news with nothing to lose. Mike, Nick, Tony, Wayne, Method Man, we bring the pain. Hey, see, I'ma confess it. We under the pressure. If you looking to find us, them nothing but Niners. We nothing but Niners. We nothing